Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Stark and I'm the Product Training Coordinator at WellnessLiving. This feature will provide businesses with the functionality to enable waitlists for appointments and assets. So as I said, businesses will now have the functionality to enable waitlists for appointments and assets so that they can control the number of clients and promote clients from the waitlist to the attendance list by utilizing waitlist promotion policies. So to enable waitlists for appointments and assets, there are two ways that we can do this. One is from the business policies, and the other is from an individual appointment or an asset that you've set up in the business, and then going to the custom business policies and enabling it from there. So the first one that I'm going to show is from the business policies. So to do this, I'm going to go to the app drawer right here. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to navigate down to setup and click there. Now, once I've done this, what we want to do is navigate to our business tab. We can click on the arrow for it to drop down, and then I'm going to navigate to business policies. Once there, what we want to do is just go down, and right here we can see that it says waitlist, and we're going to click there. So once we're in this area, we have the ability to enable or disable waitlists for the entire business, which would affect events, classes, and now appointments and assets. So with this, if we go down to enable waitlist for, you can see that we already have events and classes checked off because waitlists were already previously available for these two sections. But what you'll see now is appointments and assets. And you can see that they are currently turned off. So by default, these will appear off in the business. It is up to the staff member or business to go in and enable them. From here, they can also, like I said, be enabled from the custom business policies within a specific appointment or asset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable these because we want to have that on to show the functionality of this new feature. And then, of course, we have our waitlist promotion details and rules. So we can enable automatic waitlist promotion from here, and we can customize it with different parameters by going through here. Of course, we can put it to whatever we want, and then it goes by hour, day, or week. And then if we wanted to, we could select this instead, which is require client confirmation to be promoted from the waitlist. And of course, we could change the parameters however we wished from here as well. And then it goes by hours, days, and weeks. I'm going to go back to this one, and we have an on-off slider, which would enable or disable to allow a maximum number of clients who would be on the waitlist. So right now I have it disabled for the business. And again, waitlist underneath business policies kind of works as a blanket policy for the entire business. Again, just because we have this enabled doesn't mean that we can't create different waitlist policies using custom business policies within a specific event, class, appointment, or asset. Then, once we're content and happy with the selections that we made here, what we want to do is navigate down to save and click that. And you'll see there's a confirmation message above that says that changes have been saved successfully. So what we want to do now is I'm going to actually navigate down. We're going to go into an appointment, and we're going to enable custom business policies from that point where we can actually make different waitlist selections as I had previously mentioned. And again, that functionality for custom business policies to change the waitlist or customize it does exist in both appointments and assets. So let's navigate to appointments. Once in appointments, what I want to do is select a specific appointment. Then I'm going to go down into advanced settings, and then we're going to look at the custom business policies. Once there, we will enable the custom business policies so that we can look at waitlist, and then we can make alterations or edits for the waitlist policies for that specific appointment only. So let's click into the first consultation, which is an appointment that I have set up within this particular business. Once we're within the appointment, what we want to do is just navigate down to our advanced settings, which we can see right here. And again, this can be collapsible, but since we want to use our advanced settings, I'm going to expand it. And then from here, what we want to do is just navigate down and find our custom business policies. So we can see our custom business policies right here. And currently for this specific appointment, we can see that use default business policies is selected, which again are the same policies that we set up previously where we went to business policies, and then went to waitlist. So everything that we set up there, again, is kind of like a blanket policy for waitlist for the entire business. So currently that's what this appointment is using. But since we want to enable custom business policies to be able to change the waitlist parameters for only this specific appointment, I'm going to choose this option, which is use appointment specific business policies. So from here, what I want to do is just navigate down to waitlist. And again, we can see it has the same actual selections as we saw in the business policies section for waitlist. Appointment, I could enable waitlist or disable waitlist. I can also look at the waitlist promotion. So for enable automatic waitlist promotion, let's say instead of 48 hours, I want to choose it to be 1 hour. So we can leave it there. And if you recall from the business policies for waitlist, I left this to the off position, but for this specific appointment, I'm going to enable it. So now I have enabled a limit to the maximum number of clients on the waitlist. And currently it's set to 0. I'm going to increase it to 3. So once we're happy with all of these edits and changes, what I want to do is go to save. Even though waitlists and their parameters are configurable from the business policies, which again act as a blanket policy for the business, we can now have the functionality to enable or disable waitlists and choose custom parameters per individual appointment. This functionality also exists for assets, so let's take a look at that quickly. So what I want to do is just go to Book a Spot to go to Assets. Now that we are in Book a Spot Assets, what I will do is select a specific asset and show the same functionality that was just seen in Appointments, where I will go to Custom Business Policies and I can enable or disable the waitlist and choose custom waitlist parameters. So as you can see, I have Spin Bites, which is an asset that is set up within this particular business, and that's the one that I'm going to select. Once within the asset, what I want to do is navigate down to Custom Business Policies. So as you can see, for this specific asset, it is currently on Use Default Asset Business Policies. So we want to enable this one, which is Use Asset Specific Business Policies. Then if we navigate down, we can see Waitlist. And again, this just mirrors everything that we've seen in Appointments, and it shares the functionality that had already existed for events and classes. So from here, for this specific asset, what we can do is enable waitlist or disable waitlist, and then we can choose specific waitlist promotion as well. So currently it's set to 1 hour. I'm just going to leave it there. And we can also see here we have the same on-off slider for limit the maximum number of clients on the waitlist. So if I wanted to, again, I could enable this and I could adjust the parameters how I see fit. But for this specific asset, I'm going to leave it to the off position. And once we're happy with all the changes or edits that we made here for the waitlist for this specific asset, we can go to save. Once we click save, you're going to get a successful confirmation message at the top. So as you have seen so far, we can enable waitlists for appointments and assets from within the business policies, and we can also enable waitlists and adjust the parameters for specific appointments and assets as well by enabling custom business policies within the individual appointment or asset itself. Right now we are in the schedule as a staff member, and we can see that there are 2 instances booked, one being a first consultation, which is an appointment, and the other being an asset that's booked, which is a heavy bag. What I will do now is go into the client web app as a client and put the client on the waitlist for both of these instances. As you can see, I am currently within the client web app and I'm signed in as the client Robert, and we're within the Moonlight Yoga Studio business. So with this, again, what I want to do is as the client, I want to go into appointments and I want to place Robert onto the waitlist for that first consultation appointment. And then I want to go into assets and I want to place Robert within the waitlist for that heavy bag. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the schedule view as the staff member, and then we're going to take a look at everything from that point. So let's go ahead and go to appointments. We're going to select the correct studio, and then we're going to proceed by clicking next. Then what I want to do is click on the same appointment, which is first consultation, and then click next to proceed. And then we're going to select the same date. And if we go down here, right here, we can see for 10 a.m., it says waitlist, right? So as the client, whenever I'm going through the booking flow for an appointment, we can see that an appointment time, if you wanted to have it, you might be waitlisted if you want to have it at that exact time. So again, to show the functionality of this, I am going to select this waitlisted time for 10 a.m. for the first consultation appointment, and I will click next. Then we can pay for it and complete the transaction for the booking. So again, we're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be for assets. So let's go to assets. We want to select boxing. Since it is for a heavy bag, I will click on this, and then we will follow through the prompts. So next, select the same date. Again, we want to make sure that we can see the wait list. And again, the heavy bag that was originally booked by another client was for 12 p.m. on Thursday, and that was for March 10th. And we can see if we wanted to select that same time and date, we would be put on a waitlist as the client. So again, to show the functionality, I'm going to select the waitlisted time and proceed. So there we go. So we can see that the booking of the asset has been successful. So I'm just going to go back to the Book Now. After selecting the Book Now tab, we can see that I am back into the main Book Now section as the client. So what I want to do from now is go to Wellness Living again, into the schedule from staff view, and then we're going to look at the appointment and the asset, what they look like once a client is placed on the waitlist for both of those, and the new functionality that exists there. Now that we are back into the schedule view as a staff member, we can now see both of these bookings indicate that there are clients on the waitlist. If I hover over either of these bookings, you can also see that there is a waitlist schedule card as well. And you can see it that is indicated at the bottom, and it says to waitlist currently because there are 2 clients on each of these waitlists for either booking. In addition, if I click on the booked instance, the flyout window will show up, and if I navigate down within the flyout, you will see a new waitlist section. So as a staff member, what I could do from here is I could either select and click on the schedule card here, or I could go to view to go to the new waitlist section as well. So what I'm going to do for this example is I'm going to click on view. This is a new screen and page for waitlisted clients for appointments and assets only. So at the top, we can see that it says waitlist for first consultation, which is the appointment that we had been working with. Underneath details, we can see that it says appointment, and then we have the date, time, and location, and staff member who is going to be holding this appointment. By waitlist, we can see that it says 2, which is to indicate the amount or number of clients who are currently waitlisted for this appointment. Underneath that, we can see who the clients actually are. So we can see that we have Robert and we have Marissa, and we can see their details underneath their name, and we can see if they have paid or not paid for this session. Beside this, we can see when the client had booked or had been waitlisted for this specific appointment. So we can see that they had actually booked on the same date, but at different times. And just to discuss that, that is the positioning, or that is the line of how people get positioned for the waitlist. So Robert is in first place on the waitlist because he booked before Marissa. From here, we also have a 3-dot menu where if I click it, there are a few different options that we have as staff members. So I could click on soap notes to add soap notes. So we can see that we have the functionality here to do so. I could click on send email to send the client an email. As we can see here. I could click on send SMS to send the client an SMS text message from the screen, as we can see here. And we could click and use a template that we have set up. And we also have variables for that SMS text message. I could also select send push, which would send a push notification if I so wished. And then we have message center, where if I click this, it's going to bring me into the message center where I could send a SMS text message to the client from this area. Then last but not least, we could click on remove to remove the client from the waitlist. What I can also do from this area is select move to appointment on a specific client within the waitlist. If I do this, it is essentially promoting them from the waitlist to the appointment for the original time and date that they had been waitlisted for. So for Robert, we can see we have move to appointment. I'm going to select move to appointment and we will see a pop-up for promote from waitlist. And it says, would you like to promote Robert Chapman from the waitlist? If I would like to, then we would want to click on promote to confirm. Once we do this, we can see a confirmation message at the top. Then what I want to do is go back to the schedule. As you can see, we are on the schedule and we can now see 2 different appointments for first consultation 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with the same instructor. And the reason being is because we promoted Robert from the waitlist. So in the system and in the schedule for appointments and for assets, whenever we promote somebody from the schedule, we can see that it's going to create 2 different instances or 2 different bookings, which is great. We can see that it's there. And now we have Robert and Simon who are going to have a first consultation appointment at 10 a.m. with the same instructor. We still have the same functionality as before, where if we hover over each of these bookings, we can see at the bottom we still have the same scorecard where it's going to indicate the amount of people on the waitlist, which now is 1. So it's just Marissa in there. We can still go over it. We can click onto the appointment. We can get the flyout. We can go to waitlist and we can click waitlist still, where we can see the person or people who are on the waitlist, and we still retain all the functionality that we had before. In addition, a really great example of how this could be useful is Simon. Maybe he was the original person who booked that appointment and he was talking to his friend Robert about the first consultation appointment that he has coming up. And Robert thought that it sounded like a really cool session. He would really like to be a part of it as well. And he was wondering if they could go together to be part of the same appointment. So with waitlists enabled for appointments, this does make it possible to have it. So just as you saw, if Simon had already booked it, Robert could go onto the waitlist for the same appointment at the same time with the same instructor, and then he could be promoted from the waitlist where they would show up as 2 different bookings. So now Simon and Robert could actually go to the first consultation appointment for 10 a.m. together with the instructor, Philip. So aside from appointments, the same functionality also exists for assets. So here we can see that there is a booked asset, which is a heavy bag. And again, if I hover over it, we can see at the bottom, it's going to indicate how many people are on the waitlist for that waitlist scorecard. If I click onto the asset itself for the booking, we're going to see the flyout come out and we will see the waitlist area. Again, this waitlist area is only for appointments and assets. We can select here or we can click on view. So I will click on view and we can see the same functionality in this area as well. So at the top, we can see that this is a waitlist for the heavy bag asset. Under details, we can see that it's for an asset. We can see the date, time, and location. We can see waitlist, that there are 2 clients currently on the waitlist. We can see who the clients are who are on the waitlist, their information, if they have paid for this already or not. So we can see that it's both paid, when they had booked or been placed onto the waitlist. Again, same kind of functionality as for appointments, whereas since Robert had booked first, then he will be put in the number 1 spot. And then since Marissa had booked second, she will be booked into the number 2 spot. We also have the same functionality here where we could send email, SMS, send a push notification, or go into message center or click on remove to remove the client. The only thing we don't have here is soap notes, which is what we had for appointments. So that is the only difference within this section. What we can also do from here is we could move this client to the asset or to the booked appointment for that asset. So if I go to move to appointment for Marissa, we can see the promote from waitlist just as we did for appointments, and I can click promote. Then we'll get a confirmation message at the top. And if I go back to the schedule, what we can see is we have, again, 2 separate bookings. And the reason being is because I promoted Marissa from the waitlist for this particular asset, which is going to create 2 separate bookings for the same asset at the same time. In addition, staff members can also place clients onto a waitlist for appointments and assets, but can only do so if the staff role, book services over capacity, has been enabled for their staff role. So this really is an excellent feature. Now clients can be waitlisted for appointments and assets, whereas before they could not. So as an example, maybe a client wants to book an appointment or an asset at the same time that somebody else has already booked it. Now they can choose to join the waitlist and can be promoted from the waitlist to the attendance list if the other client cancels. Or a staff member can even manually promote them. Again, this is another great feature to have. It's amazing to now be able to have the functionality and control to have waitlists enabled for appointments and assets. This feature can even potentially help businesses by not having empty slots when someone cancels if there is another client or clients in the waitlist.